Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever and wherever you are. And welcome back to the beta plan playing Shadowrun Hong Kong. Yeah, I walked around the ship to talk to a lot of people, and I found people with, for instance, were shot with a gun. Rats don't do that. I found blade carvings, not of a rat, and hints that, well, as I said, Gobbet's story started with a mutiny. It seemed from, well, a terminal that I read that Malvina has gone super order and perhaps a little too crazy about it. And mutinies have become more frequent because somebody said to me that she was a survivor of the last mutiny. That tells to me that several of us happened. And as such, well, she said also to be careful of the two people, by the way, that same person that I saved her life, because that was the one also with the bullet wound, and I had, luckily, healing magic, because I'm magically active. I saved her, and she said these two, well, she didn't know where the loitered line, well, you can't really see them well, but they're standing over there, showing us how to get below decks. But I also talked to a man who, well, gave us a maintenance data pad, and I found this item, and Gobbet says, looks like this box is feeding power to that door over there. If we were to short it, we might be able to get the thing open. Well, let's follow the instructions. You examine a rat's nest of wires, tracing each connection to the point of origin. Following the instructions on the datapad, you then snip and rewire the system to feed power back into itself. The result of your work are immediate and spectacular. You hear a deafening cracking sound and a blinding flash of light stabs your eyes. Moments later, the full hole fills with the overpowering stench of ozone. The overheard lights flutter up ahead. You can hear the sound of a set of door locks engaging. Alright. So we're not going to go to talk to these people immediately. We're going to talk here. Hello? Dead people. And we also find other inhabitants. Behind a locked door? Interesting enough, and this door leads and feeds into what the woman was holding who said you should follow the rules. Something tells me that this is a prison rather than anything else. Or this might be the quarantine level. One of the two. Let's talk to them. The woman standing guard duty nods in acknowledgement. Strangers, you picked a bad time to come and visit. Oh, oops, this is the guard. Uh-oh. And, yeah, it's a bad habit of mine. Are you guarding the room against the rats? Let's just ask that and not against mutiny people, Yes. She had her weapon, her eyes glued to the door, the rats and the thing that's controlling them. And there we come back to the item I was talking about in the mission of Gobbet. The item that, well, summoned things, so said Gobbet, but she never said they summoned rats. I've never seen it myself, but I've heard stories. You want to talk to someone? Talk to the dwarf. I'm busy. She hefts her weapon, her eyes glued to the door. I need to keep my eyes open for more of those little bastards. We can't let anyone more of them sneak in here. Not after what happened to Simon. Best of luck. I think we found Katniss. Because Katniss was said to be in quarantine. A stocky dwarf leans up against the wall of the container room. His skin is sallow and it hangs off of his bulky frame like a half-deflated balloon. You saw plenty of sick people back in the Barrens. Addicts, BTL heads, better than life. Well, virtual reality addicted people. People whose immune systems have been raged and ravaged by disease. Raged and ravaged. That's what's standing here, really. This guy looks worse. Oh, yep, indeedy. He doesn't look good at all. Hello, stranger. Don't see many new faces on the raft these days. He sighs. But you're here. So, you want something? Now, what would that be? Isabel pushes forward. We're friends of Gobbet's. Seen her around, and she has been doing it every time I've talked to somebody. She is really driven to find Gobbet back. He chuckles. Friend, if you're looking for Gobbet, you're about 3 years too late. Your friend ain't here, and you've stumbled into the worst kind of place. And you stumbled in the worst kind of place to be lost. Somebody else also told that they remember Gobbet, but nobody has seen her recently. So what's your name, friend? Me? I'm nobody important. He coughs into his sleeve. The sound is alarming wet. Just a man waiting to die. You haven't seen Gobbet, have you? No. I haven't seen the girl in years. I'd love to, mind you. She was a good friend way back then. What's wrong with this place? Aside from the uninvited guests, you mean? Oh, thank you. Very nice. He struggles to stifle another cough. He's got a rat problem. We've noticed. Don't let what's happened to me happen to you too. You want my advice? You get out of here and you do it before you get bit. Ooh, I've been struck twice. He just had the sweat damp heaps of cloth that line the walls around him. If you don't, you might just wind up your bed here, right by my side. We'll leave you in peace. Yeah, you do that. If you happen to find Gobbet, bring her by. I haven't seen her in a long time. It would do me good to talk to her again before I die of this damn disease. I thought we found Cadmus. I am wrong. They said that Cadmus was in, well, the quarantined area, and this area looks pretty quarantined to me, but... The local up ahead beckons you forward. It's just up this way, through this door here. As you approach, something catches your eye. A vent in a wall behind the locals. Movement. Something living must be hiding inside. Behind you, more devil rats. Panic-stricken, they begin to turn, their weapons raised. There's a flurry of motion, and something large explodes out of the vent. Gobbet lands in a crouch, her weapons raised. Don't go in there, it's a trap. Yes, I always said that somebody told us that these loyalties, well, they were not really sure where they lay, and apparently Gobbet agrees, and she uses her poison fog spell, which also does AP damage thanks to an upgrade I gave her. Take some fire damage. Oh, should have first launched my grenades, because then I would have damaged the armor. Yeah, that was a low chance to hit, but I wanted to take it nonetheless, because, well, armor damage is good. And by the way, I think they're dead anyways, thanks to, yeah, the spell already was there. I still had an action point left, and wow. Hey, Seattle. Don't remember inviting you on this run, but I guess that I'm glad you could make it. She jerks her hand towards the squatter's ruined body. You're welcome, by the way. Wanna tell me what the hell is going on here, Gobbet? We just shot some locals, but don't worry, they were bad people. I'll take your word for it. What were you saying about a trap? Yeah, that's where they were leading you. I didn't want you to see that happen, so I came running to your rescue. She puts her hands on her hips and widens her stance. A picture-perfect example of the classic superhero pose. Oh, come on, superheroine pose in that case. Well, then again, then she should have less clothing, because, hey, when you're a woman, apparently the less clothing you have, the higher your armor class goes up. Yeah, you called my face, but that's just weird. You are, again, welcome. Muttering under her breath, Isabel steps forward. Gobbet, tell us what kind of trap you're talking about. The kind where you end up dead. Look, I don't know exactly what they were planning to do, but I've seen them lead people through those doors before. She just steward the heavy double doors at the end of the hall. The people who I watched go in there never came back out again. Not a one. They just scream and scream. And when the doors open up again, they would be gone. Feeding the red gods? So, you don't know exactly what's in there then, however. No, but judging by all the screaming, I'm gonna make an educated guess that it's probably something bad. There's a long, awkward pause. Finally, Isabel steps forward. So, now that we're all together, do you want to tell us why you came back here all by yourself? We'd have been with you, Gobbet. All that you had to do was tell us. She raised her hands. Yeah, I know. But I figured that But I figured that this one was on me, and I didn't want to wait another minute. Besides, I had a plan. So yeah, I use God as a kind of cheerful type of person, because that's how I got to know her in her background when I talked to her, but now I'm making it so cheerful that I can't read fast enough to actually pronounce the things when I'm talking as her. But anyways, she had a plan. You're on a boat full of hostiles, by yourself, in the dead of night, being hunted by devil rats. That doesn't sound like a great plan to me. I didn't come back here to fight, Seattle. This is a recon mission. I want to scope the place out. And it's easier to do that solo than it would have been if I dragged you two along. No offense. So you've scoped the place out. Fine. Mission accomplished. Do you know what you're doing now? Yeah, this place is fucked. I'm gonna sink it. Wait a second, what? The sinking ship is doomed, Seattle. I could feel that the second I set foot on board. She checks herself. Earlier than that, even. On some level, I think that I could feel it back home. That's why I couldn't stop thinking about this place. Whatever is happening here, it's wrong. This whole place feels off to me. Some of them even toxic. I came back to find my friends, Katniss and Malvina, to check on them. Instead, I found a swarm of man-eating rats, a death trap, and a bunch of squatters who seem intent on killing me. Her tone becomes brisk, so I'm going to kill them right back. And I'm going to use the scuttling charges that are still embedded in the hull to do that. Yeah, that is something in her background story. Very nice that they come back to it, but there were some charges beneath the ship because it was officially planned to be demolished because, well, a reason that yours truly has forgotten. It was a good story. It sounded plausible. I've already handled the ones on this level, but I haven't gone down below yet. We need to activate the charges below the waterline if we're going to bring the sucker down. And so that's where you're heading next? Downward? Where we weren't allowed to go from you a moment? Not quite. On account of the trap? Yeah, that's why I'm just talking about that. I don't know how to get past it yet, she frowns. Minor setback, right? So, my next step was to figure that out. We haven't found Katniss or Malvina yet. They could still be alive somewhere. Maybe even on this level. Yeah, maybe. I hope so, because of all the people on this raft, Kat is one of them. Is the one I would most trust to get us past whatever is in that room. He was always more of a mechanic than he was a shaman. Yeah, I know. I think that's the dwarf still. We have to figure out how to get past the trap. I get that. But let's keep our eyes open while we're doing that. There could be more going on here than you realize. I seriously doubt it. Remember what I told you about second guessing? She isn't second guessing anything. We haven't seen enough to make a decision yet. You may have, but we haven't. Gobbet lets out an exasperated sigh. Alright, you want to look around? We'll do that. But afterwards, we're arming the rest of those charges. Let's move. Alright, she joins us. Now, I know this is going to be a little bit of a longer episode, but we're going to talk to the dwarf. Because this is Katniss. I'm just going to put my money on it. 1, 2, 3. The dwarf's milky eyes track you as you approach. A wave of recognition washes over his face, but his movements remain lethargic. Eventually, he manages to slur out a few words. Gobbet. Back after all this time. Yeah, I'm sorry it's taken so long. Gobbet stares at the dwarf wide-eyed. It's good to see you again, Cat. And a round of applause for the Beetle Plan. Gobbet told me about you. How are you feeling? What a question! Look at him! Perfect, thank you for asking. He struggles to contain a burst of coughing. I mean, I'm dying and my home has gone to shit. And we're probably gonna sink into the bay. But otherwise, I'm great. With a visible effort, he shifts his focus on Gobbet. Welcome home, girl. Been a long time. She swallows. Katniss, save it. I'm not mad. He squeezes his eyes shut. I'm mostly just happy to hear your voice again. It's good to have a friend. Yeah, I'm saying that lady over here, Malvina, has gone bad. Also, all the names almost ending with well, it's almost Malivius. And that's a movie, if you don't reckon it. It means bad one. Or being malevolent is bad, is evil, but Malivius, I think, bad. Well, perhaps I think my Latin is rusty. It might be the worser one, because I think it's the superlative of the word of bad. Anyways, this is the dumbest question in the world. Are you sick? No, that's the normal look for a dwarf. I know some things can be mechanical, but that's not how a dwarf really looks. This white, this pale, this weak. That trapped room at the end of the hall. Know anything about that? Yeah, me and my crew built the thing. Let me guess. Malvina's orders? He nods. First thing she asked us to do after the true little rebellion. We started work on the thing the week after you left. Jasmine was in charge of the project? No, that was in charge of the project. Can you tell us how to get past it? No. He coughs wetly into his sleeve. No, but Jess can. She should be somewhere on this level. Go find her and tell her I sent you. We found her already. We will, thanks, Cat. Don't mention it. He dabs specks of blood from his lips. Tell us what is happening here. last thing we're gonna do. And that woman we found, I know exactly what it is, because we found a terminal where I always said I found some clues that there have been several rebellions, and that woman was a woman. That's A, that gives me a good hint, and B, she was mailing to Katniss. Well, that makes it pretty obvious, isn't it? Bad things. A lot of good people die. Something's gone wrong on this raft, Gobbet. You know what I mean. Toxic. Yeah, I can feel it too. I can feel it all the way back home. Her throat moves, but it takes a moment for her voice to catch up. Katniss. Where are our friends? What happened to Jasmine and Anson and Malvina? Anson's dead. He never even made it into the sick room. Just disappeared. But I know where he went. He stabs a finger downwards at the floor. Jasmine's still with us. Small favors, right? But the fight has gone out of her. She's content to do what she's told and tremble. Malvina ain't Malvina anymore. Not saying anything. I was afraid of that. I just needed to hear you say it. She's gone toxic, hasn't she? She's gone toxic because of the damn bubble I gave her. It ain't her, Gobbet. It's something else. Well, and once again, a round of applause for the Beta Plan. I saw this one coming. He struggles to contain another cough. Eventually, it passes. But yeah, that shiny red egg that you and True lifted is the cause of it, I think. The ugliness was already inside of her, but that thing brought it out. She squeezes her eyes shut, balls her hands in fist. Shit. So, Katniss, you said that Malvina isn't herself anymore, so what is she? You ever heard of a Rat King? It's an old folklore thing. Bunch of rats all fused together, their tails all wrapped and twisted into a great big knot. Ah, darn it. That's what Gavin also told that she was dreaming of. That's what Mel has become. I don't know how many different spirits she's tied her essence to, but the last time I opened my third eye to her, I couldn't see where they ended and she began. What does that even mean? I've never heard of. It means that she ain't human anymore, girl. Her aura's bound to other things. Alien things. All tangled and twisted and grown with her. They're all one being now. A ratkin. It talks like Malvina, but it ain't her anymore. Is she possessed? No. Best as I can tell, she invited this. Welcomes it. Malvina and the things she's tied to are all one being now. A collective. Which sounds like we can't really save her. And to listen to them talk, they like it that way. Another long wet cough interrupts his speech. He wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. Well, you know what? Time for some background information. And I will do that on behind the cameras. And I'll get back to you when we get back into the action. I say I thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty.